Do you like fantasy football and sports betting? Come join us here at the Parlay Fantasy Football Podcast, where hosts Matt, Shane, and Jason talk about fantasy players, lineups, and sports betting to help you compete and win championships. And of course, some extra cash. Let's jump right into the show.
Welcome back to another episode of the Parlay Fantasy Football Podcast. Matt, Shane, and Jason with you guys here tonight. What is up, my two dudes?
Hello, gentlemen. How are you? It is great to be back talking about the beautiful game of football. And after what is a blessing that happens occasionally in the offseason, and that is a major trade. And that always just adds like a little spice, just a little. I was laughing because it came, April 3rd. And if it would have came 2 days earlier, not a single person would have believed it was a true thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I hope y'all missed me. I'm glad to be back. I had a work event that happened last week, and my apologies. I had to be there even though I didn't want to be. But it feels great to be a Texans fan. I was telling Shane earlier today, I've never been more excited to be a Texans fan with the moves that they're making these past two off seasons.
Yeah, it's been a splashy move, and we'll get into that in just a minute because I do want to spend a few minutes talking about that one specific trade that Jason is extremely happy about. But before we jump into that, guys, head on over to Apple Podcasts or any podcasting platform. Give us a follow, 5-star review, guys. It does help the show out. You can find us on any of our socials, right? You can find Shane at Shane Parlay FF, Jason at Jason Parlay FF, and myself at Matt_Parlay FF on the old X machine, guys. Go over there. The support so far has been awesome. We just really appreciate everything that you guys have done for us. Now, last week we talked about our quarterback rankings for dynasty purposes only. Jason was not a part of that. Jason, go ahead and put your rankings 1 through 10 out on Twitter or the X machine, whatever you want to call it. Put that out there so they can see your rankings as well. Shane, we can post ours as well and see. Just get it out there. We'll get it out there a little bit. And what I do plan on doing here, guys, in the next couple of weeks is after we give out our rankings for each position, the top 10, us three will get together on the horn, off live podcasting, and we'll come up with a consensus ranking on where we like each player. We'll come up with a consensus because right now, like I said, we're doing this live.
None of us spreadsheet it out.
Rankings.
Yeah, we'll spreadsheet this bad boy out.
So, Jason, did you want to add something right there?
I was just going to ask, is this a one quarterback or just our straight up dynasty rankings? Okay.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Just straight up dynasty rankings. Just straight up dynasty rankings. So let's get into a little bit of news, guys.
News and notes from the NFL.
All right, y'all. So by now you have probably heard that old Stephon Diggs is now a Houston Texan. Jason, I want you to give your 2 cents on this first. I have some thoughts, and I'd like to hear your guys' opinions as well. So why don't you give me a little tidbit there about what you think about the Stephon Diggs acquisition?
I felt like the Bills' relationship with Stephon Diggs, it was bound to happen, especially after the past 2 postseasons and how the media is putting that he is a crybaby basically on the sidelines. I feel like in Houston, he's coming to a team to where we did get him for a steal, but we have to take on his big contract that he has. So it can go one of 2 ways. The biggest thing for me is he going to complain when Nico Collins has 8 catches for 125 yards and Stephon maybe gets 3 catches for 30 yards? It's a system. We have weapons. If he falls in line, he's going to be the dude. He is a dude, but we're scary. I love the acquisition. We have weapons. We have dudes on our offensive side of the football. And I think CJ is going to have a better sophomore year than he did his rookie year.
Shane, go ahead and say what you're going to say.
I think that Steph brings a diva side that the Texans did not have last year, which I think that they have a strong enough locker room to overcome it. However, if the ship's not sailing well, Diggs is one who is going to throw a fit. And that is a situation where I don't think anybody wants to be involved. And also on the contract thing, Jason, the Texans during the trade actually waived the remaining years of his contract. So they only have him for this year. For some reason, my camera keeps kicking off. But yeah, they only have him for this year guaranteed. Next year, I believe they have the option to pick up the contract, but there's no dead cap hit if they decide to move on.
Yeah, because didn't the Bills had to eat that dead cap for this year, and all the Bills had to do was wait this year out and then sell him, and they wouldn't have had that massive dead cap.
Yeah, but the one nice, I don't know why my camera keeps going in and out here. Sorry. The one nice thing is that they took all the dead cap this year. It doesn't get spread, where if they waited till after the June 4th cut date to make the trade, then they would have gotten spread over the next 3 years. So they eat the whole dead hit this year on their cap space, and they can handle it. So,
right. And the way I see this is like this is a big move for Houston. It clearly makes CJ Stroud better. It gives him an opportunity to be better, right? Stephon Diggs is 31. Okay. He is and always has been an alpha for his team. You know what I'm saying? Like these two alluded to, he brings that diva side. I think he will continue to bring that diva side. Now, hopefully CJ hopefully they can keep that thing down to a minimum. I do think that this does affect Nico a little bit. I don't think it affects Tank Dell, but I think Nico will see a little bit of a downtick if Stephon can still prove that he still got the juice, that he still has it. Because if you, what was it, since week 11 last year, Stephon Diggs didn't really do much for Buffalo. Like he maybe had a game or two here and there. Good that he had good performances, but he didn't really show a lot of motivation. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and I also think that has a lot to do with Sean McDermott and the coaching style that goes on there.
Could be, yeah.
From reports I read, Diggs was disgruntled because McDermott wanted Diggs to not be Diggs and wanted him to fall in line with the team. And I don't take DeMarco that way. I think DeMarco's very much like I expect the players to work for themselves and make themselves better. And I think that it came across to Diggs that he wasn't respecting him as a professional.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see. It really is because, like I said, he's getting older. Let's just see if he still has the juice. I think if he does come in, I think he just brings that presence. In my personal opinion, I think he brings that presence as the wide receiver one. It still remains to be seen, but Nico has a lot to play for this year because next year he's in a contract year. So next year is he going to go be a wide receiver one or maybe two or whatever for some other team, or is he going to prove it and bring it and they re-sign him? You know what I mean? So there's going to be a lot to prove for Nico, and hopefully they can get it figured out because CJ, this definitely benefits CJ. Like no doubt benefits CJ. And I think it'll make Tank Dell better too. You guys have anything else on that?
I think it moves Tank back to the slot, and I think that so the Texans were the fourth highest team in 12 personnel last year, so 2 wide receivers, 1 tight end. This year, they will be much more 11 personnel, I think, due to this change. So I think that it will be interesting to see the way that the offense adapts to adding a weapon uniquely to this scheme. Because what they have is they have 3 nukes. Like that's what they are. They are 3 absolute bombs for wide receivers, and that's such a nice relief to have for an offense. And also mix it in the backfield. So, geez.
Quick note.
Jay, what you got? Yeah.
The Deshaun Watson trade basically resulted in Damian Pierce, Will Anderson, Tank Dell, Stephon Diggs, and a defensive player that I'm not, or Kenyon Green, a guard for us. So one of the better trades in football.
Pretty good trade. Pretty good trade.
Right.
All right, boys. Let's move into our topic here. All right, y'all. Last week we went over our QB rankings, Dynasty rankings. Okay, we're gonna post that out. We'll make sure to get that out here in the next couple of days. Tonight we are doing our Dynasty running back rankings 1 through 10. Now remember, guys, we have not told each other what our rankings are. We are kind of revealing it to you guys where we like our players tonight on for Dynasty. We will come up with a consensus and we'll post that out there, like Shane said, with a spreadsheet. So it's going to be interesting to see. Running backs could be a little bit different. Shane and I had we had a pretty similar top 10. We had about the same players in the top 10. So this will be fun to do running back. So I think we all have number 1, the same for Dynasty. Who do you guys have? Jason or Shane, go first.
Okay, hold on. I'm fixing my camera. Give me a sec. Jason, you go
YouTube,
first. I'll be the.
YouTube can see that, Shane.
I mean,
YouTube can see that.
Are we all in consensus with Bijan being number 1?
That's who my number 1 is. Yeah.
Shane?
I don't know about Shane.
No.
I figured. So I know who he's got. He's got the other B running back at the top.
I do, and it has a lot to do with what I think Brees. Okay. Listeners, Jason and I are in conversation for me to land Brees Hall from him in one of our leagues. So I do not want to hype up what I think Brees Hall is going to do this year. However, on a team that is so win now with a 40-year-old quarterback and 2 32-plus-year-old tackles, the Jets do not give 2 Fs about what happens next year. Therefore, Brees Hall is going to eat this season. Do I think that means that he eats for the remainder of his career? That's to be seen. However, we know he's the explosive athlete that can produce RB1 seasons. So he is my RB1 in Dynasty. He's also my RB1 in redraft. He has usurped Christian McCaffrey this year.
It's funny, Shane, that you say that. Number 1, how dare you not put Bijan at number 1? How freaking dare you? But number 2, I mean, I have Brees right behind Bijan, and I think Jason does too.
I do too.
It's by the slimmest of margins. They're similar in age, and they
6 months difference.
Yeah, they're similar in age. The only thing that Bijan has not suffered is a catastrophic injury. So, like, I get that if that's where you're going to, like, not wink, nod. But, like, I think that they're both fantastic, explosive players. And and both offenses should be electric this year, barring any unforeseen circumstances.
And
like Mr. 40 seconds.
Shane, you know you're going to have to give up the house to get Bruce. Like, know that.
I was fully aware, but I didn't want Jason necessarily to know how truly explosive, and I just didn't want to sell the house when I could, maybe sell the car instead. That was the hope.
We just need YouTube to look at Jason his expressions. That's classic.
It's gonna have to tickle me. It's gonna have to tickle me.
Okay, so here's my consensus about Bijan. I mean, it's kind of like, well, we basically just all revealed our 1 and 2. It's Bijan, Brees, or Brees and Bijan. Like Shane said, you could flip flop them. They're both fantastic running backs, young for dynasty purposes. That's the cream of the crop. That's the cream of the crop up top. Bijan, I feel like this year is going to have a massive year with Kirk Cousins as quarterback. I think he's going to be able to provide a lot of catches out the backfield. I think he's going to have some receiving touchdowns, and I think they're going to hand the ball off to him. And I think he'll be able to prove what he can do on the ground as well. Brees, same thing. Like, it's the same thing that Shane just talked about. I don't even need to get into that. Jason, do you want to add anything to either one of those players, or can we just go to 3?
You can go to 3. I was just going to say with Bijan, I think with a veteran quarterback, they're going to utilize him more and out of the backfield with Kirk Cousins knowing how to run an offense.
Yeah, I mean, and you could say the same thing for New York, veteran quarterback. You know, they both have weapons. They both have wide receiver weapons. So it's going to be really fun and interesting to see how these two running backs are utilized this year. I'm excited to watch it.
And I
Shane,
don't
who
think
do you
the
got at
Jets.
number?
I also don't think the Jets are done adding weapons.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree with you. Shane, who do you have at 3? This one could be. This is interesting. I think 3 through 10 could get interesting here.
So 3 for me
Like
is a little spicy, and it's more because I'm not sold on who I have at 4 as a role. So
okay,
3 is CMC for me.
I'm spicy.
And that's because I mean he's still only 27. He turns 28 this year, I think, during the season or like in the next month or something like that.
Yeah,
he's going to be productive into probably year 30. And when you typically look at running back landscape, you are buying a 3-year window. So he is still at the top of that window for me. And so it doesn't move me off of what we saw his role last year. Like, he didn't get fed 400 touches, which is what everybody was worried about. We were worried he was going to get so many touches that, like, he wouldn't be able to sustain. He didn't receive that. He received great opportunities and made the best of them and showed out as RB1 again. So I foresee a very similar situation happening in the future. If I could trade Brees for CMC Plus, I would do it.
I like it. Jason, who do you got? Who do you got at 3?
So my 3, I was debating on CMC, but I like this guy's upside.
You probably
the only thing that's holding me back was the split carries, but he started to get hot at the end of the year, and we saw what he can do at the backfield. Give me Jahmyr Gibbs, who is the youngest running back in my top 10. He's barely 22 years old. He doesn't have the wear and tear. He does still have David Montgomery in the backfield to get the load for the inside the tackle play, but we saw how dynamic he was. And I think Jahmyr Gibbs is going just to keep on getting better and better. And I think he is one of the bigger steals.
Yeah. I'm in the same boat as both of you. I had CMC at 3, and then I moved him down. And Jahmyr is my number 3. Mm-hmm. And the split carries things is different. And remember, guys, this is our rankings for Dynasty, not necessarily for redraft or anything like that. But the split carries is a little bit scary. And here's the thing. People keep sleeping on David Montgomery. The guy is a good running back. They paid him a bag full of money. He is going to get touches, people. Do not put Jahmyr up on the pedestal just yet. This is why I was wavering. But my 3 through 5, I wavered quite heavily on 3 through 5. But here's the thing. Like Jason said, Jahmyr Gibbs, youth, super dynamic. I think they are going to utilize him a little bit more this year, just because last year he proved, and like Jason said, towards the end of the season, he started getting a little hotter and a little hotter. Now, on the flip side of the coin, David Montgomery has had some health issues with injuries. Last year, he did a pretty bang-up job, right? But this two-headed monster, you could have started either one of these running backs every week and gotten fantasy points. And I like the future for Jahmyr Gibbs, and I'm interested to see what he does in year 2. So that's why I have him at 3, mainly because of his youth and just his explosiveness. The guy is crazy out of the backfield. So that's my excuse for that.
Yeah, Gibbs is my 4. So I'm right there with you guys, but the split backfield, and I think he's an amazing talent. It's not that I'm scared of the split back. It's honestly a good thing for him because he doesn't have.
Agreed.
I don't think that anybody should necessarily maintain all of the carries in a backfield in this day and age in the NFL. However, Gibbs is someone that probably could, but I don't think probably should. So I think that it's great that Montgomery's there. So, I mean, yeah. But Yeah, he's 4 for me.
I agree with you. Jason, who do you have it for?
I have CMC going 4. So basically, I was flip-flop with Shane to where those were the two that I was debating on because we saw what CMC did last year. Dynamic, got in the end zone, they fed him the ball, which is finally what we thought we were going to see from San Fran, and we got it. And I think they're just going to keep that up.
Yeah, I have CMC at 4 as well. Those are the two that I was flip-flopping. You guys hit the nail on the head. CMC is CMC. The dude is just an absolute beast. He proves it year in and year out. He's one of those running backs that can handle all 3 downs. He catches passes out of the backfield, scores rushing touchdowns, explodes out of the pocket, and freaking has 60-yard touchdown sprints. It's absolutely insane. You know, these top 4 players, we could really interchange. If you wanted to be dead honest, we could really interchange them.
I don't know that I would feel comfortable putting Gibbs at 1. That's my only thing. I think
that's okay.
That's one
accurate.
reason I put CMC above him was because I was thinking if I had to say which one of the 4, like of the 4, the top 3 I listed could be ones for the year.
Right.
Yes.
I don't foresee Gibbs being RB1 this year, or maybe even next year.
Oh, really? Okay.
Well, you have the other two.
Fair,
You have the other two gatekeeping.
assessment.
That's also an issue. You have the other two gatekeeping. You have Bijan and Brees gatekeeping. And
So how far up do you think Jameer could finish? I mean, do you think there's any range of any range of outcome, barring any injury, that he could finish in the top 3 running back?
Yeah, I mean, he could. I think he could end up as 2. I don't think that he would beat all 3 of them to 1. I think that's my big, one of the 3 would beat him to 1 this year. And even if CMC falls off a cliff and isn't in the conversation, I have enough faith in Bijan and Brees to carry the mantle and finish probably 1 and 2 over him. But the issue I have with it is that if you look at this from a dynasty trading perspective, if you're trying to acquire Jameer, you're giving up the house for a guy who isn't RB1.
Right.
He's a great running back. There's nothing against that. But he doesn't have the ceiling to be RB1, in my opinion.
That's actually a pretty good assessment there, because I have seen some people trying to deal Jameer Gibbs, and trying to acquire Jameer Gibbs, and people are asking so much. That's a pretty good assessment. I do like that. I might have to make a little switch.
Would you have to give up more for Brees or Jameer?
100%. Way more for Brees.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, so who do you guys have at 5? Shane, why don't you go? You got.
I don't know if this will match y'all. This is JT for me. This is
I just
JT
erased mine.
Dang, dude, we have the same 5. Shane?
Well, I mean, the top 5 I feel like is pretty set. I feel like the next 5 are dicey, and I doubt that you guys have who I have. So JT just fits. He got the bag. He's going to stay in Indy. Rising offense, great. Well, what we hope is a great QB. We only saw 2 games of him. But Shane Steichen run offense. He's going to dominate. I don't care who he's splitting, quote unquote, splitting the backfield with. He's the guy. And yeah, there's without a doubt that JT's the dude.
And there's no more Zach Moss. Zach Moss is gone.
Yeah. Hopefully they don't go draft JT. Trey Benson or something. That would be so sad for everybody involved.
Well, you have JT at 5. That's who I have at 5. You know, it's one of those things where, to be honest with you, I think JT could be I think he could be even higher than that. You know, the guy's still young. He's just had some injury issues, but man, when he is healthy, he is freaking so amazing to watch.
So I had him over Jameer and then scratched it out and put Jameer back. And the reason that I did it was because of the injury history. Buying a bruised fruit is just not everybody's cup of tea. Cup of tea.
Kind of mushy.
Yeah. So that was my thought. We may I'll just move him down.
But you know what? There's people out there that I'm sure that have JT ahead of Jameer, and there's nothing wrong with that.
So funny enough, I just had that conversation about who I could foresee being an RB1. JT is a guy I could foresee being RB1 this year as an RB1 finish. 100%. And again, the guy who I ranked above him is not somebody I could see having an RB1 finish. So Dynasty rankings are fun, but
I've erased so many of these things because I'm just overthinking everything. But I swapped these two. I had JT at 5. I'm going Kyron at 5 rather than JT. I love what they do with Kyron in that backfield. I know he's a late bloomer. He came out of nowhere. If you had him on fantasy last year or picked him up, he did wonders for you. My thing is he basically just is he that guy because of that offense with Stafford being having that dynamic downfield threat? And is he a system guy or is he that dude? He's young.
Run last year.
Say what?
I was just going to say the way I saw him run last year, I feel like he could be that dude.
And that's why I have him at 5 over JT because I think he can be that dude. He doesn't have the injury history like JT does. He stays on the field, and that offense is scary.
Shane?
I understand it. I think that the talent perspective for me is what kept me. So, okay, Kyron's next on my list. So, like, they're hand holding, but like, Matt, quit copying my homework, brother.
Bro, you need to stay away from my freaking rankings, dude.
But listen, I think that Kyron is a really, really good running back. I think that what he lacks for in top end speed, he makes up for it so many other ways, and it's amazing. His vision is crazy, and his shiftiness. That next gear that he hits when he hits a hole is crazy. He may get caught by some of the faster guys in the league once he gets down the field, but no one's gonna get him cutting through the gap, and that's a whole different story. So like I do understand it. I just couldn't quite pull the trigger.
It's funny because Kyron is my next running back as well, and Shane alluded to it. Like the dude always, for how small he is, he never goes backwards. That dude hits the hole and he takes defenders another yard or two. And it's like, that dude, like Shane said, it's mind blowing because, like he said, he's not the fastest guy, but he's explosive, he's shifty, and man, when he hits that hole, he hits it hard, and he's tough to tackle.
Oh yeah, he's an absolute.
He really came on last year. Yeah, and he really, really, really came on last year and turned some heads. I mean, he became one of those guys that people used to be able to be like, oh, you can just have Kyron, you can have him for nothing. To now, you have to give up. You have to give up some to acquire him. So I do like Kyron. That's why he made it my top 10. He's a good running back. So that was Shane and I's 6th running back. Jason, who do you have at 6?
JT was my 6th, so I just flip flop with y'all. That's where I was back and forth with. So yes, JT is my 6th. So I'm not gonna agree with both of y'all. I'm not gonna be that guy.
Well, then who do you have at 7? Can we get some that we're not the same on?
This is where it gets spicy, I feel like, for all of us.
If I match with Jason here, I'm going to cry.
I thought last pick was going to be spicy.
So my 7 is Devon A-Chain.
He's not in my top 10.
He's in my top 10, but he's not number 7.
So he's in my top 10 because of his dynamic running ability and with that scheme that the Dolphins run, with the zone run scheme, and it's basically the 49ers offense. Hey, we're going to play off the zone run scheme, and we're going to pass off it. He hits the hole hard. He has great vision. He knows how to get in the end zone. Yes, he did get sniped a lot this past season by Raheem. But at the same time, I feel like his upside being the third youngest running back in my top 10, he has a lot of room to grow. Raheem's getting older. I like him at 7. He's not as good out of the backfield as a lot of these other guys, but I like A-Chain being in my top 10 and keep on growing.
Shane, who do you have at 7?
I have quads at 7, and it hurt me to have quads at 7, but the talent, we know how talented Quads is. He's been the perennial Dynasty RB1 in conversation with CMC since he's been in the league. He finally has a nice enough landing spot, and he has a guaranteed lock for that landing spot for quite some time. And I think that there's a real scenario where Quads becomes the tush push and not Jalen Hurts. So,
I mean, he could surprise some people this year, and you can get him for cheap because of the fact that everyone's just finally ready to get him off their team if they have him. So, like, he's one of my prime buys.
But yeah, that's why. And A-Chain, I understand where Jason's at, and he's on par with Consensus. Consensus has A-Chain around 7. I'm just significantly lower on A-Chain. Mm-hmm. I don't know that he's going to hold up in the league, and getting hurt in your rookie season, and he's going to continue to have a split backfield, and I just have too many question marks around whether his game truly translates, and if he'll continue to grow in a role, or if he'll always have to be a second guy.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with that. We'll get into that in a second. I have Travis Etienne at my number 7. And the reasoning behind that is no matter how much people poo-poo on him, he's like a David Montgomery. He gets the job done. Like,
except for at the goal line
last year. Except for at the goal line, he had some goal line issues, and he had I think he has some endurance issues. I feel like he gets tired fairly fast. But the way that Jacksonville uses him, I think this year, who's his backup? Tank Bigsby. I know Tank Bigsby had some fumbling issues last year, and it's predominantly why he didn't play. And I think Tank is going to get a little bit more involved this year, and hopefully that helps Etienne a little. I think it helps him out a little bit.
Yeah, it'll keep him fresh.
He won't get so tired.
Yeah.
But man, Etienne catches the ball out of the backfield. He rushes the ball well. He's hard to tackle. That is a value in my mind for Dynasty, especially since running backs nowadays, there's only a handful that handle all 3 downs, right? So having someone that will give you consistent production, maybe not, RB1 level production, but he's going to get points for you. And we have to find those points at some point in time with the running backs in the position. So what he did last year, it surprised me. It made me happy because I had him on a couple of my teams. We just need to come on, Etienne now. Just need to get in the goal line. You need to get in the end zone. All right. So that's why I have Etienne at 7, just because I think he's going to have another productive year. Who do you guys have? We're on 8. Who do you have at 8?
Shane.
Okay, this one's really spicy for me, and I don't have a ton of conviction behind it. It's Josh Jacobs.
Oh man, that is spicy, brother.
So ECR has him at 12, and his average draft position in Dynasty is 14. I think that opportunity in Green Bay behind a fantastic line, and given the fact that we all think that this offense is going to be fully loaded this year, the level of rise in his quality of opportunity is so substantial compared to the shit stomping he took in Vegas when they stacked boxes, and it was coming off of him having 400 touches, which is never good for a running back. It's never good when you have 400 touches. The next season, it almost always means you get hurt. And he did, and they shut him down. He could have, from his side, he said he could have played, but there was no reason to come back. So I think that Jacobs going in Green Bay pushes him into my top 10, and he kind of just happened to land above your guy is 7, Matt. So that's why I was like, I had to do a little jumbling, but based off of the fact that he has a multi-year contract and a solid offense in front of him, I think the opportunity creates a fantastic opportunity, especially to buy on Jacobs.
Going off on that, I feel like he is going to be more motivated than he was last year.
Oh, 100%.
Exactly what you said. He could have played. He didn't want to. They had Aiden O'Connell at quarterback. We all know what Josh Jacobs can do out of the backfield. He didn't look like himself last year. I think we all can agree on that.
No,
he
So
only had
fire.
he only had
Go
5
ahead.
top 10 finishes last year
Right, exactly.
for fantasy
Right.
purposes. So you're buying the dip here. If you're on board with me, you're buying the dip.
Jason, who do you have at 8?
I switched this around a lot. A lot. I have James Cook at 8.
Oh,
We can
I'm
have a
getting spicy
conversation.
with it. Yes. I know we can have a conversation based on recency bias of what happened this past year at the end of the year. I feel like they're going to stay there with that ground attack and then let Josh Allen throw off that, especially with getting Diggs out of the equation. It's going to be more so, hey, Josh, don't turn the football over. Run the football. And we saw what James Cook can do out of the backfield, both running and catching, especially at the end of the year. I like James Cook going forward over a lot of these other running backs.
that's spicy. That's very spicy, son.
It is. His ECR is 13. And honestly, I don't hate it, Jason. Like, especially with the Diggs trade, I'm rethinking where I have him.
That's the only reason that I moved him up.
He's on the outside looking in for me. He is 11.
Yeah, I was about to say he probably 11 because Josh Jacobs is my 11.
Yeah,
I
so
have Josh Jacobs at 11.
I want to pull the trigger and bump him into 10, but I have so many questions, and he had such bad fumbling issues last year that I love it because I have James Cook in quite a few leagues. And I wish I was as bullish as you.
Yeah, I have James Cook at 12. That's where I have him right now.
Yeah,
Matt, you're 8?
Yeah, I'm going to get into my 8 here. Jason already talked about it. It's Devon Achane. I know Shane has some skepticism of in his. They're all valid points, right? So a split backfield makes you nervous. His size makes you nervous. Getting injured your rookie year, that is a cause for concern. But boy, when that dude is healthy, I personally think they're going to utilize him a little more. Raheem seems to be ageless. He's like 32, turning 33 this year, and still runs like 22 mile an hour. That's absolutely freaking ridiculous. But Achane runs like 23 mile an hour, and he's just so shifty and fast. I do feel like they are going to try to get him a little bit more involved. I think Shane hit the nail on the head. There might be a cause for concern with the organization about that he got injured his rookie year, and he seemed to re-aggravate it, and he just never really got fully healthy after he got injured. So that is a cause for concern a little bit in my mind. But I'm hoping that he goes into the season healthy, and if he is fully healthy this year, I think they're going to give him more opportunities to see if he can replicate what he was doing at the beginning of the season last year. Because, dude, some of those sweeps, holy boy, he's gone. He's gone. I have him in the top 10 just because of his youth and his upside, right? His upside is very high, in my opinion. So that's why I have him ranked at 8.
All right, Matt, lead us off for 9 because you have yet to be the lead guy here.
Okay. Well, at number 9, I have Saquon. I got Quadzilla, son. I did move him down a little bit, and I might revisit my rankings. I might move him back up. Some of the points that you had made, Shane and Jason, about some of these guys, it's like, yeah, maybe I ought to move Saquon up. I think he's just going to have a massive year in Philly. I really, truly think he's just going to have an outstanding year, bounce back year, new team. He's probably going to put up 400 yards against the Giants when he plays them twice.
The best offensive line he's ever had in his career, too.
Yep.
Yeah. You might as well just put him down for 800 yards for those 2 games combined, right? If he stays healthy, I truly believe if he stays healthy, he could be one of those guys that finishes at RB1, in my opinion. He's that talented. He's that good. Yeah, we probably don't have to move him up. I don't really have to make any more case for him because it's Saquon Barkley. Shane already made all the points that I was getting to lead to, but yeah, he's just that talented. If he stays healthy, he's incredible. He's an incredible running back. So who do you guys have in mind?
I'm curious
Shane?
as to where Quads is on Jason's list. That's what I want to know. But I have Travis Etienne at 9 for me. I do agree with Matt. He is a very talented player. The big ding for me is his lack of production in the red zone. And
Yeah.
I think that Bigsby getting more reps this year would be beneficial for him to spell him because I do think that they utilize him so much that he looks gassed. And that's just, it's not healthy and it's not good for a guy who does have a significant injury history. So I think that both of those things benefit him in the long run. And I think that there's a case that he pops
Higher in the list next year than he is this year. I think he's more of a riser than a faller for me. I think I kind of adjusted him down based off of
just the ancillary things of nothing against his talent, just his situationship.
Yeah, didn't he have like 7 touchdowns in like 3 games or 4 games or something like that last year?
Yeah, and it was all from I think every single one of them was from outside the 20.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Screen
Like,
passes.
Yeah, it was never him punching it in from 10-5 yards out. It was him taking it to the house. He is a crazy talent in the open field. The issue is he needs to figure out how to score the football when you're between, where it literally matters the most. So
yeah, yeah. That one game, there was a game I was watching because I had Etienne on my roster. They gave him like 3 straight opportunities from like the 2-yard line and could not punch it. So and I might have had a broken controller that day.
So
Jason, who do you
I'll give you a little tidbit. I do not have ETN in my top 10.
ooh,
You have
My number 9 is Quads.
okay. So there's the answer to Quad. Where's Quads? There's
my
Quads.
number 9 is Quads. Yes, so there's Quads right there. Like y'all said earlier, I feel like he is going to benefit from the best team he's ever going to be on, the best offensive line. He is going to get a workload out of the backfield, catching the ball, you name it. If it's on the 2, he might get in the end zone. On the 1, maybe not.
Yeah, I get it. We'll see. Shane might be right with the whole tush push with Saquon. You never know.
Those thighs could push through the line. I'm just saying. He might be able to crush some tree trunks going through there.
All right, guys, we're moving into our final pick for our rankings here. I'm gonna lead us off, Shane. Once again, and I don't know if any of us are gonna have the same here. I don't think Jason will have the same as us. Shane might, but it's Isaiah Pacheco.
Mm-mm.
You don't have him, okay? I'm gonna I'll give my case real quick because we talked about this a couple episodes ago, and I actually just moved him up before the podcast started. I moved him up. I adjusted my ranking there. The reason why I have him at 10, why I moved him up, is because his running style is ridiculous. Like I said a couple episodes ago, it reminds me of Adrian Peterson, the way he runs. It's just incredible to watch him run. Now, I know a couple episodes ago, Shane was like, I think they're going to draft a running back, so on and so forth. But with them re-signing CEH, I think it frees Pacheco up a little bit more. I don't think it's as likely that they're going to sign a higher ranked running back, as the metrics would say, one of the top 4 or whatever. I think if they do, it's going to be a late round pick and it's going to be a project player. Them re-signing CEH just verified, in my opinion, that Pacheco's the dude. He's going to get the majority of the work. And if CEH comes in, it's going to be for a play or two. It's going to spell him on third downs, maybe, every once in a while. So I actually moved Pacheco up into my rankings just because, or into my top 10, because that signing of CH just it validated everything for me.
I love that. I'm not going to lie. I love it, and I love the analysis of why you moved him up. There are two outcomes in the draft that worry me. One is them taking someone in like the fourth round. By someone, I mean Jalen Wright, if he's there in the fourth round. And the other one is them taking someone like Tyrone Tracy, the dude from Purdue, the converted wide receiver, which just Pacheco already isn't the receiving back, but solidifying the fact that he would not be on the field for those downs is going to put a damper on his production, which sucks. That's all you can say. It sucks. But yeah, like he's an excellent running back. He's going to get 80 yards or 80 yards per game at least. That's just, you can just chalk it up. And they're going to have to utilize him, especially if Rashee Rice is spending 6 weeks in jail.
Yeah. Dumb. Okay. Who do you have at 10, Shane?
I have Rachaad White.
Okay.
I like it. Uh-huh.
He has been productive, and I think that even if they add additional talent, the main chops that Rachaad brings to his skill set is his production with receiving. And I think that if they bring in somebody, it will be more of a bruiser like Marshawn Lloyd. So, like, even if they draft a running back, I think that Rashaad's skill set allows him to be almost like kind of like how Gibbs is, like kind of role proof. Like he's fine, no matter if he has to share the backfield or not. He's going to be productive, but it just caps his ceiling. So, I'm not worried about adding talent there, but I do worry that he's not going to produce the crazy carry numbers. If you're in a carry per carry league, he's not the guy you want to draft.
PPR, yes, for sure.
If it's like, a PPC league, he's not the guy. Go somewhere else.
Well, the one thing I wanted to add on that is Baker is growing as a quarterback to where he's not pushing the ball downfield if it's not open. So Rachaad White is one of those guys to where he doesn't mind checking it down, and we see what he does out of the backfield. So I love that.
He's massively creative in space.
Yeah. 100%.
Jason, who do you got?
I was debating on 3. I almost put a rookie in there that has never touched foot on an NFL stadium. But given his injury history, I don't feel confident enough to do that right now.
What?
I want to know that individual's landing spot before I put him where I
exactly.
I know who you're talking
just
about.
Have a spicy take. I really wanted a spicy take in order to do it, but I'm gonna go with a guy. New head coach, new coaching scheme. We don't know what this offense is going to look like, but I love what he does out of the backfield, and that's Kenneth Walker III, Junior the third. I like Kenneth Walker. Zach Charbonnet, yes, he does kind of poach him a little bit, but Charbonnet has had trouble hanging onto the football. So I'm confident in Kenneth's dynamic ability coming out of the backfield, especially with Geno. I feel like they're going to run the football. They're going to give it to him. And Kenneth is only 23 years old. This is his third year going into his third year in the NFL. I love it. I feel like he's going to do big things. It was between Josh Jacobs, Etienne, and Jonathan Brooks.
Okay.
And look, if Brooks gets draft capital in the second day, like I guess in day 2, if he gets day 2 draft capital, whether it's the second or the third round, he is going to catapult up rankings, especially if it's to the Cowboys, who was the team that operated on his knee to begin with. So, Jason, I see what you're saying, and I do think that there's a chance he could be up there. I don't know if the longevity exists for him to be up there.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
I wanted something spicy.
Oh, well, I would have loved it, dude. I would have been all over that. Because my favorite thing about this draft class is everyone's like, there's no bona fide RB1. I'm like, yeah, but there's like 5 or 6 guys that are gonna have serious roles in the NFL when they get drafted. Yes. And so like I feel like it's a slept on class of like talented dudes. There's no like Bijan or Brees, and that's what separates the like quote unquote great class. But like
there's a bunch of really good football players at the running back position, and people are gonna have to take notice, and if not, they're gonna get put on notice.
Great.
And let them fall to me in third round of rookie drafts. That would be fantastic because I have a slew of third round picks
and no first or seconds.
So it ain't gonna happen. But no, I totally agree with you guys. Totally agree. I think this rookie class, so many people are just straight bagging on these rookie running backs, and it's like, dude, there's 3 or 4 bona fide solid running backs in this class coming out that if they land in the right scenario, you guys are going to look like fools. You know what I'm saying? So,
or if they get tied to a space that's like a murky situation and then the lead back goes down, you're going to see these guys just pop off in a whole different way, which is
agreed.
So exciting.
Yeah. All right, guys, that is going to wrap up today's episode. Rookie running back for Dynasty Rankings for us 3. Again, we will come out with a consensus ranking sheet, and we'll post that up on our feeds on X. So remember, guys, head on over, give us a like, give us a follow, give us a 5-star review. It really does help the show, and we do appreciate it, guys. A little spoiler alert coming soon. We are going to have a special guest who did play college football, who did play in the NFL. He's going to be on the show with us, and we're going to do some analysis of what it's like being a professional football player in the NFL. What's the stuff you have to go through for getting ready for the draft, injuries, because he dealt with some injuries that more than likely ended his career. And we're just going to go through all that kind of stuff. So make sure you stay tuned for that. That is coming in the next, I think, 3 or 4 episodes maybe. So be on high alert for that. Next week, we will go over our wide receiver Dynasty rankings, and we'll have our top 10 list for you there. So, that being said, boys, I think y'all know what to do. Oh, wrong drop. I always hit the wrong drop. Now you know what to do.
Hey, it's been real, y'all. Take it easy.
The Texans are now the best team in Texas? What?
They've been the best team in Texas for a year now. Jerry Jones, get out of town. We love y'all to the moon and back. Till next time, peace out.